Everyone, I hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. I quickly wanted to talk about a few things. So 2020 is about to be over, and I desperately want to discuss a few points when it comes to health and nutrition and fitness industry, and just to tell you that there are some things, there are some notions and beliefs that we really desperately need to leave in 2020 and do not take this baggage with us to next beautiful year that is about to be bestowed upon us. Number one would be over exercising to lose weight. Now, when it comes to weight, we have so many patients day in and day out. They lose weight effortlessly, and my biggest tip to anyone who comes to me when I see adrenal fatigue, when I see that they don't have the energy, and when I see that they are fat, and when I see that they are exercising, my first tip is always don't work out. Sit back, chill, relax, lie down, and you just need to breathe. So many people do not understand the concept of exercising movement. So many people do not understand what is pushing yourself and what is killing yourself. There is a very thin line that differentiates these things, and it's very, very, very important that you understand that you cannot just run on the treadmill every day for 40 minutes, 60 minutes to lose weight and to torture your body and to burn the fat or kill the fat. That's not how it works. Your body works in balance. Your body works with homeostasis. Your body works with the rise and fall of beautiful hormones that we have. And a quick science that I would like to give you here is when you exercise, you are using cortisol. Okay, now cortisol is a stress hormone. It is inflammatory and it is anti-inflammatory, both in nature, dependent on why is your body has to produce so much of it and what exactly it is doing to it. So a lot of people don't know about it, but the thin gut lining that we always talk about, cortisol can make it and cortisol can break it. So is cortisol a bad hormone, or is it the fact that the amount that is being produced determines whether or not it is good or bad? So when you are over exercising, when you are not resting, when your diet is not good enough, when your emotions are not great enough, when your movement is not great enough, when your environment is not great, when your state of mind is not great, all of these things collectively, it affects your body, and the last thing you want to do is to run and lose weight. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is to understand that you do not have to work out every single day to lose weight. Okay, a lot of people get that adrenaline and cortisol high and rush out of it, and that's the reason your body craves, because your body loves that rise and fall in hormones. It's the same way with sugar. You eat sugar, it rises, it crashes, you want to eat sugar again. You eat it, it rises, it crashes again, and you want to eat sugar again. So throwing off insulin this way, throwing off your blood sugar this way, it does you more harm in the long term and sometimes even in the short term. So the best thing to do is do not over exercise. I see so many people in my gym. I've been going to this gym for 1 year. I see them coming every day. They are doing cardio every single day, and they have not lost an inch of their body, and that is exactly what they come there for. Okay, they are not there for toning and stuff. They are there to lose weight, and you can see it because they're just killing themselves to lose weight. Some people are yawning, but they're still running, or they're still on the cycle, they're still on the elliptical, and it's just torturous. You're just producing more cortisol, and that cortisol is not working for you, it's working against you. So you have to understand that there is something known as resting, sleeping, and both of these things are extremely productive. Okay, number two is protein, 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 protein. Is protein important? 100% yes. But is everyone supposed to eat it? It depends on you. It depends on where you come from. It depends on where you stand. It depends on how you're eating. It depends how much your activity is. Irrespective, everyone should be getting enough protein, 100%. Do we get it by eating dals? Absolutely not. We don't. Okay, so we have to have a diet that is local, seasonal, organic. If you're eating your non-veg, chicken, fish, and everything, it's very dependent. But protein is very important, but most people don't understand how to take it. Okay, we have a patient, and I remember that boy just loading up on whey protein powders and mass gainers and I don't know what, and we got his tests done, we got his stool test done, we got methane, hydrogen, and different things in test done, and we figured that he had a H. pylori infection. Okay, now very classic example, what will happen when someone has a H. pylori infection? It is going to produce urease. Okay, when you eat protein, a byproduct of that metabolization is urea. Now this urease is going to work on the urea urea, and it is going to produce more byproducts, right? And that is going to be ammonia and hydrogen. Now ammonia has a pH of 11, okay, and your stomach acid pH is supposed to be at 1, 2, 3, somewhere between 2.5 to 3.5. That's a very, very acidic pH, and a pH of 11 is very basic in nature. So if you are eating that kind of protein, you are basically literally, you are bloated, you are constipated, you are acidic, and you are just, you know, providing a terrain in which infections can grow in your body. So if you are having protein and if you are bloated, that protein is not working for you. So the first thing is you cut down on protein, you reduce the protein, and then you see how you have to, you know, move ahead with your health. So if you are not digesting, if you're not absorbing the food that you eat, eating 100 grams of protein is not helping you. For the longest time, I completely accept it. I did not give importance to protein, but now that I understand how important it is, I'm also able to realize that thankfully my intuition did guide me to a place where I was on a pitiful level of 30 grams or 20 grams of protein for years. But that actually in a way helped me, because I was not torturing my system to digest or break down something where it was not able to do it. So it's so important to understand that just eating protein because someone is eating 120 grams of protein a day and they have a great body, but they are not you. It's not your body, okay? You don't eat like them, you don't drink like them, you don't walk like them. So it's entirely different things, and you have to understand that nutrition and health, it's bio individual and it's not just general, okay? Number 3, calories, calories, calories. You have to understand the concept of good calories and bad calories. So calories from avocado and calories from burger are not the same. And this is not to demean burger or empower avocado or something, but it's just to understand that your body needs fuel, your body needs nourishment, and your body needs nutrients to work, okay? So if you're eating just chicken and broccoli, chicken and broccoli, chicken and broccoli 3 times in a day, there is no variety. We need a plethora of micronutrients. Where are you getting these things from? But nature has its own way, right? So it produces the right things at the right time in the right season, and there is a way in which we can eat it. So palak ka saag, radish, mooli, salad, and all of these things, it's so seasonal. You eat it in winter season, so you're literally just building up your you know, nutrient reservoir or stores for the coming year ahead. So you have to understand that calories at the end of the day, it has to also give you nutrition and not just calories. So you can be the best mathematician and you know how much calories you are hitting, but are you hitting your micros? Are you getting your magnesium? Are you getting your selenium? Are you getting your manganese? Are you getting your zinc? Are you getting your iron? This is what matters. So we always have to look into micronutrients. Number 4 would be collagen, okay? Collagen is the next superfood. It helps you with the beautiful skin, it helps you with hair, it helps you with nails. Any random person can be taking collagen. Now, I believe in collagen, yes. Do I recommend it to some patients? I do, 100% yes. But up until the age of 25, your body can still produce its own collagen. So anyone who is, you know, if you are 25 years old, you are pretty sorted. Your body is taking care of you. Post that, it decreases by a certain percentage every year or every decade, and it's needed 100%. But this is the most beautiful thing about this beautiful body that you live in, and that is, when you eat collagen, the collagen is not just going inside of you and it's in the bloodstream and it's going to your hair, skin and nails, okay? That's not how it works. Your body is extremely smart. It prioritizes things, okay? So how is it going to do that? How does it know what is on priority and what is not on priority? So if I have to heal my gut lining, and if I'm bald and if I have to regrow my hair, what is my body going to choose? Is it going to choose regrowth and building of the gut lining or hair? It has to choose the gut because it's essential for my survival. This is the reason when, you know, someone has some sort of infection going on or inflammation, or if you're down or diseased or you're sick, a lot of women lose their periods because you being fertile and you being reproductive is not my job, okay? My priority is that you are fine, you are breathing, you're able to digest, you're able to move, you're able to sleep, then you can reproduce, right? So again, your body knows, it already knows, it has its own checklist, and it knows until and unless I fix the gut, what will I do with her hair? What will I do with that skin? Okay, so if your body has to put that collagen in hair and skin, it has to first fix your gut, and that is exactly how it works. So anyone who helps you with these things, you have to know that in some or the other way, they are helping you with your gut health. It's the building of the gut health that takes care of any disease, sickness, syndrome, most of them that you can possibly name, it is going to work at your gut level. And number 5 has to be intermittent fasting and keto diet. Okay, it's great, it's beautiful, it's amazing, it helps a lot of people, I am sure, but a lot of people do not understand how to do intermittent fasting. So I believe in circadian rhythm fasting. It's pretty famous, a lot of people do it, a lot of people talk about it, I agree with it. But circadian rhythm would be sunset to sunrise. So that's about, you end your dinner by 6:30, 7, 8, and then you have your first meal, or you break your fast next morning at 8 o'clock. That's a 12-hour fast. I do it, I think it's brilliant, it's great. But a lot of people just push it, and now there are billion apps in the market, and you are like, oh, I did 19 hours, oh, I did 24 hours, oh, I did 28 hours, oh, I'm doing 36 hours. Now there is a time and place to fast, there is time and place to not eat your carbs, and there is time and place to go keto. For a lot of people, for a lot of patients, keto works. So I'm not saying I'm anti anything, okay, but I'm just pro at eating correctly. I'm just pro, okay, don't fast for 24 hours and 36 hours every single week. Okay, you have to eat, and do it for the right reasons. That would be the biggest one. When it comes to intermittent fasting, a lot of women do it incorrectly. There are so many women who can just sit and vouch and tell you that, okay, I have lost my periods, and what happened? Your body suddenly does not know if it's, feasting, it's famine, it's disaster, it's a stressful situation, she's not sleeping, she's not eating, I am not getting my fats, how do I, manufacture hormones, I don't know what to do. Let's just not keep her, reproducing, let's just not make her fertile, it's not important, it's not needed. That's how your body thinks about it. So you have to know, like I said, go back to point number 4, everything has its own priority, and your body knows what to put first and what to put second. So it's so important for you to understand that if you're constantly fasting in your menstrual phase, in your luteal phase, when your body actually needs that fuel from the outside, and not just in the form of one meal in a day, but you need good 3 nourishing meals with right amount of carbs, fats, and protein, and that is what lets your body burn fat, lose weight, give you great skin, give you great hair, give you energy, and you're not dependent on caffeine and stimulants and cigarettes to do anything. Okay, if you enjoy your cup of coffee, it's great. If you are dependent on it, you are addicted, you have a problem, and it is something you need to look into. So doing intermittent fasting in keto, because 100 people, 1,000 million, billion people in the market are talking about it, it does not make it great. I am not saying it's bad, I am saying maybe it's not working for you, and maybe you need to, research more about it, practice more, and see how you feel. So you will feel great with intermittent fasting. Okay, your body switches from the glucose to the fat and ketones, and it gives you that fuel, and it's a better source of energy. It's true, it's right, it's science, it's a fact, it's great. But at the same time, there is something about your body, about you, that no one else is studying. No one else lives like you, no one else walks like you, no one else talks like you, no one has beliefs like you. So what you do with your body and what someone does in a lab is 2 entirely different things. Okay, so science remains unchanged, some physiology and some processes and some biochemical chemistry and all of these things remains unchanged 100%, but at the end of the day, no one has studied you. You are a bio-individual person, you have your own approach, and that is one thing that I do practice with my clinical practice. That is health, nutrition, it's a bio-individual thing, and it's not a generalized opinion. Everyone should do keto, everyone should do intermittent fasting, everyone should leave carbs, everyone should eat carbs. It can be anything. Okay, at the end of the day, you decide what works for you, you take the decision for yourself, and it's just basic, simple common sense. There is a lot of noise in the world, me being one of them. I have 100 different things to say to you. You might follow someone else in this industry and they have something else to say to you, but it's not about me or them, him or her. It's about you. It's about what suits you, it's about what works for you, it's about what makes you feel the best. And if fasting for 36 hours with a keto makes you feel great, then you do you, and that's your power. Okay, so that's my top 5, and let me know if you enjoy video like this, so I would be doing more of it more often. And take care of yourself. Thank you for being here. Bye.